Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. So, I am in kind of a chill period of school right now. It won't last long, but I'm enjoying it while it does. So, I'm already done for the day. So, I thought it would be a good idea to sit down and do some filming so that I am prepared in advance for whenever the next time things get crazy is, which will probably be soon. So, I decided I would also film a video while I'm getting ready. I've had this idea for a while. So I need you to tell me if you think this is ridiculous and stupid. But on Reddit, there is a subreddit called r/medicalschool. And they post the funniest content about being a medical student and just kind of relatable stuff about the experience. And it cracks me up every single time I'm on there. So I thought it would be fun if while I get ready, I share some of the hilarious memes and content that they share on that subreddit. And maybe you'll get a little bit of a better idea what it's like to be a medical student, but in like a haha funny way, and not in a sharing all of the things that terrify me kind of way. So let's get into it. Gotta have headband, of course. I'm also gonna scooch over a little so I can put the memes right here as I'm talking about them. I'll try to remember to talk about the makeup I'm using, but everything will be listed in the description box as well. Starting out with my Milani eyeshadow primer. What's the dumbest thing you've done in your 20s? Medical school students. Yeah, the person who posted this captioned it's a love-hate relationship, and I would say that that's accurate. Obviously I'm glad I'm here. I'm very grateful to be here. But I will say sometimes it really feels like I'm watching my 20s just slip away. And I'm actually one of the people fortunate enough to be here for my early 20s. I have some classmates who didn't start med school even until their late 20s. And it's weird to go on social media and see people who are my age, who are in my college class or my high school class, getting married and buying houses. And I'm here. I'm here. And I know some people are actually able to do those things while they're in med school. And to those people, I say, you amaze me. Because I barely have time to think at the end of the day, let alone, do major life things. By the way, I'm just blending my Nabla Cupid's Arrow in shade 1 into my crease, just as a really quick transition shade. When your attending says you did a great job on a presentation of a bread and butter UTI after your intern handed you the plan on a silver platter. Okay, this takes a little bit of explaining. So while we are on rotations in the hospital, usually internal medicine rotations, we are expected to pick up patients and examine them, see them every day, and then give a presentation to the attending, who is the head doctor of the team. We give a presentation to the attending about that patient and what our plan for the patient is. An intern is a first-year resident, and if you're not familiar with the medical training system, or the system in the US anyway, a resident is a physician in training. So after you finish medical school, you do residency, and then when you graduate residency, you are an attending. So the intern tells you exactly what you need to say for the plan sometimes. And a bread and butter UTI is basically a very simple, straightforward case. But then your attending tells you that you did a great job, and it still feels good. We're all here in medical school. We're all here because we seek out academic validation. So even when we did something easy, if we get praised, it feels nice. What gives people feelings of power? Money, status, finishing Anki in the morning. So Anki is a flashcard app that uses what is called spaced repetition software. And it's the holy grail of med student study resources. It essentially helps you study the same material over and over again, but the more you get it right, it's programmed to space out how often you see that same question again. So basically you study by doing your Anki cards for the day, which review everything that you're supposed to be reviewing at an interval that you don't have to set up yourself. So it's convenient like that. Now, I personally, using Anki, would start off most days on, say, internal medicine with 500 Anki cards to do. And it takes a really long time. So a lot of times it would kind of get left and become the last thing I do in the day. I'm laying in bed about to go to sleep trying to finish my Anki cards because I just got so busy during the day. So it does feel really good when you have enough time to sit down and finish it in the morning. That's actually so funny. Next, I'm going to go ahead and use this KVD Dazzle stick in Hail Surge. I found this in a set at TJ Maxx, and I was so excited. These are so pretty. Look how shiny. I've been really feeling this simple look with just like a neutral in the crease and glitter on the lid lately. That's just been my thing. Interviewing a patient and performing a physical exam on my own. Talking to a patient while the resident watches. This is very relatable. I'm glad that other people experience this. I'm perfectly fine talking to patients and doing all the things that I need to do, taking a history and all of that on my own. But as soon as somebody is watching me, I am gonna make myself look stupid somehow. Or maybe that's just in my head, but I am convinced that I'm gonna make myself look stupid somehow the millisecond somebody is watching me do it. I don't know why. I feel super competent and like doctor-y when I do it by myself, but as soon as somebody else is standing there, I'm like, I look like an idiot. For primer, I'm going to go ahead and use my e.l.f. Halo Glow Liquid Filter. I'm still trying this out. So far, I really like it. I don't actually know how much is enough, so I'm erring on the side of using a whole bunch when your alarm goes off. And it's day 894, pretending to care about sodium. Oh my god. Guys, I can't tell you how much they harp on sodium. I know it's important. Oh man, but they harp on sodium. It's just, if sodium gets a little bit off, everything is a disaster. And we talk about it so much, like what happens if your sodium's too high? What happens if it's too low? What are the systems in your body that maintain a balance of sodium? Like, oh my god, they talk about it so much. Oh my gosh, that's actually too funny. College. Here's the synthesis pathway using a Robinson annulation professor. Chemical formula. Follow my finger, Mr. Actor. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this requires some difficult explanation. This might require some explanation. I'm gonna start putting on my LA Girl Tinted foundation. I've had this for a while, but I feel like I just haven't really used it enough. So let me try to explain this in a way that makes sense to somebody who is not a med school student. So in college, we had to take organic chemistry. Pretty much everybody who's in med school had to take organic chemistry in college. And it's really, really hard. Somehow I learned it. I don't know how. I look back on this stuff and I have absolutely no idea how that information was ever in my brain. But it was. So in college, you know, you're the big bad guy with all of this information about chemistry. And in medical school, this chemical formula is a mnemonic to remember which cranial nerves control which movements of your eyes, like looking to the side, looking up and down, that kind of thing. So it's lateral rectus is cranial nerve 6, superior oblique is cranial nerve 4, and the rest are cranial nerve 3. And it says, follow my finger, Mr. Actor, because we see what's called standardized patients, which are actors pretending to be patients, so that we can practice examining people and taking histories. Follow my finger, Mr. Actor. That's so dumb. That requires so much information for such a dumb payoff. Oh my god. My sense of humor is broken. Med school has broken my sense of humor for sure. I feel like this doesn't have that much coverage, but it is a tinted moisturizer, so I didn't really expect a lot. I like the finish though. It's cute. Kind of not sticking right here because I have a really bad dry patch there right now. So it's not the foundation's fault. Med student, hey, I saw you drop this blue towel, so I grabbed it and put it back on the table. The scrub tech. You what? Okay, this also requires a little bit of explanation, so I'm gonna go in with my Flower Beauty Light Illusion Concealer. Again, I've had this for a while, I just feel like I haven't used it enough. So this is a joke about being in the operating room in surgery. So the scrub tech is the keeper of all of the tools in the operating room. They are very precise about how they do their job, and it's a good thing. Their whole job is keeping the operating field sterile and keeping all of the tools at hand that the surgeon is going to need to perform the procedure. They have a big job, and they do it very well. But they take that job very seriously, and med students have a knack for screwing it up. So anything blue in the OR is sterile. That's kind of the rule. So if something sterile gets dropped on the floor, it's no longer sterile. You do not touch it. You do not put it anywhere near anything else that's sterile. And everything on the table is sterile. So this is classic, like, med student who's never been in the OR, grabbing something that fell on the floor. If you put it on that table, everything on that table is no longer sterile. So kind of a big deal. And you will get yelled at by a scrub tech. You will. Not just if you screw up that badly, mind you. It's pretty much a rite of passage that everyone is going to get, if not yelled at least snapped at by a scrub tech at some point in your education. And you're going to deserve it. It's not, I don't even blame the scrub techs. It's their job to prevent us from screwing everything up. So I have a lot of respect for them. But it is a given that as a med student, you will get yelled at by a scrub tech. 120 pack year history. Type 2 diabetes, hypertension, hyperlipidemia, chronic kidney disease. 81 milligrams of aspirin. This also kind of requires explanation. So, pack years is how we measure how long somebody smoked and how much they smoked. It kind of just gives you a ballpark. So that would be somebody who smoked 2 packs a day for 60 years, for example, you know? And then type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, chronic kidney disease, and all of these things are going to be fixed by 81 milligrams of aspirin, barely holding everything together. That's so funny. Although people do love aspirin as like a fix-all, like, just take aspirin and then everything will be fine. Aspirin's a great little drug, but it's not that good. For bronzer, I'm going to go ahead and use the Makeup by Mario sculpting stick. Mine's the shade Light. Me getting pimped during rounds, me while doing Anki. So pimping is what we call it when on rotations, either the attending or the resident or somebody on the team that you're working with starts kind of like quizzing you. They start asking you questions about the material that you're learning, about, you know, what's the next thing to do for this patient? What's the cause of this? What's, you know, blah, blah, blah. They quiz you, basically. And it's true. I have the worst habit of choking when I'm getting pimped. It's like everything I've ever learned just completely evaporates from my memory. But then when I'm doing Anki, which again is that flashcard app, it's like, I know everything. I'm so smart. I know all of these. I don't know. I'm glad I'm not the only person who has that experience because I've literally had it pointed out to me by a resident. He was kind of mean, by the way. He literally like said to me, like, you seriously choke up when somebody's asking you questions on rounds. And I'm like, I'm trying. This was in my first couple weeks of internal medicine, by the way. It was kind of unnecessary, but I do. It's true. I mean, at least I did. It's something you kind of just get used to, but yeah, relatable. I'm going to go ahead and use some powder. I'm using my Huda Beauty powder because I'm still trying it out. Resident, would you like to go home? Me. So this is kind of a thing. I think it's a pitfall that we all kind of fall into as medical students, which is the resident like messing with you? Like, are they testing you? This seems to be a common thing. I think all of us do it to a certain extent. You have to try to figure out, it's like some kind of mind game, and most of them don't mean it to be one, but we kind of interpret it as one. The resident will tell you, oh, you know, don't worry about that, I'll do it, or you can go home early or something, and you kind of fight with yourself. You're like, are they doing this to test me? Are they legitimately offering to let me go home, or are they just trying to get me to say, no, I'll stay? Now, again, most of the time they mean you can just go home. But in med school, it's one of the things that determines a huge portion of your grade is how you're evaluated by the people that you work with. And having this constant awareness of being evaluated makes you very, very paranoid. It makes you feel like every decision you make, everything you say and do is being analyzed. And that's only sometimes true, but we kind of just behave like it's always true. And honestly, I think that's one of the things that was like the most exhausting about third year of med school is just this constant hyper awareness of being evaluated by the people around you. And we're being unnecessarily paranoid. Like, most people who are evaluating us are not reading into it. If they ask us, do we want to go home? They're literally just like, seriously, do you want to go home? But we get scared because these evaluations actually like mean a lot. What grade you get in these classes means a lot when you're like applying for residencies and trying to go forward in your career. So we're a little bit on edge about things like this. For my brows, I'm going to start with my NYX Thick It Stick It Brow Gel. This one's kind of starting to dry up a little. I probably need to get a new one. For blush, I'm going to use this Nabla Skin Glazing in the shade Independence. I saw on Jen Phelps' channel that this is like a dead-on dupe for one of the new shades of the Bare Minerals bronzer. So I'm trying to talk myself out of buying a new shade of the Bare Minerals bronzer. MRI uses magnets to manipulate hydrogen atoms. CT scan uses X-rays to create an image. Ultrasound. Ultrasounds use sound waves. That's funny. Ultrasounds are so hard to read. Oh my god, they're hard to read. They just look like a bunch of black and gray. If you've ever seen an ultrasound, you know what I mean. I'm gonna finish off my eyebrows with the ABH Brow Wiz. This is just kind of the brow pencil I've been using lately. When you have 3 minutes left in the OSCE and the patient tells you that his wife died. Okay, so an OSCE is, oh god, what does that stand for? Objective Standardized Clinical Examination. Basically, it's an exam where we talk to those standardized patients, the actors who are pretending to be patients, like I mentioned earlier. So an OSCE is where we get graded on our ability to do that. And notoriously, the amount of time they give you for the actual encounter itself is far too short. They do not give you enough time. Like, for example, my most recent one, I had 15 minutes with each patient to do a full history and physical. And that is not enough time, especially when they want you to ask all kinds of questions that you might not necessarily ask in real life, but you have to do it because it's an exam for the sake of being thorough. And so you are very limited on time. And so if somebody throws in something like, you know, one of my family members died or some horrible thing happened to me, you kind of just have to go, oh, I'm so sorry, and then move on to the next question. It's very uncomfortable feeling. But, like, just because of the way it's set up, you don't really have a choice. This is a long-running joke with med students I've noticed on the internet, different places on the internet. Everybody talks about how and sometimes they'll say the most out-of-pocket things on OSCEs. Like, on my most recent one, the patient was, like, hallucinating. And just out of nowhere, in the middle of it, goes, where'd your friend go? And I was like, I don't have time to unpack all of that, lady. I got 6 minutes on the clock. Oh, man. Yeah, they're a trip. They're a trip. I think that was my last one, though, so I'm pretty sure I'm done with these. What a time. What a time. I remember when I started med school, I was like, oh, OSCEs, that's a great idea. And then I found out that they're, like, very rarely actually similar to a real patient encounter. So. Me, do you have any medical conditions? Patient, none at all. Me, do you take any medications? Patient, metformin and Lipitor. This happens so often you have no idea. So for the context, metformin is a diabetes medication and Lipitor is a cholesterol-lowering medication. When we ask if you have any medical conditions, we do in fact also mean diabetes and high cholesterol. Those do qualify as medical conditions. Oh my goodness, it cracks me up. I know some people don't know that, and so it never really, like, I don't blame the patient because obviously they don't know as much about medical conditions as I do because that's what I go to school for, but it just kills me. It kills me every time. This happens in real life so much more than you think. For highlight, I'm gonna go ahead and use MAC Double Gleam. I picked this up from a TJ Maxx a while ago, and I feel like I have not given it enough love. It's gorgeous. Pop a little of this in my inner corners as well. This says what I think I'm gonna get pimped on versus what I actually get pimped on. What's this artery? What are the contraindications in this procedure? What are the post-op complications? Name every 70s and 80s rock song ever created. So it is kind of a running joke that surgeons will quiz you on the music that they pick to play in the OR. And I definitely thought that was just a joke, but that happened to me, like, several times. Like, a song would come on, I've never heard this song in my life, and the attending would look at me and go, do you know this song? And I'm like, I know this man is gonna judge me if I say no, but no, it really does happen. By the way, I'm using a little mini of the KVD Go Big or Go Home mascara. This came in the set with that Dazzle stick, and there was an eyeliner in there as well. Next, I'm going to put on some of this Kokie lip liner in the shade Natural. My attending. Did you hear that heart murmur? Me hearing absolutely nothing. Whoa, so cool. This is also kind of a running joke amongst medical students. But again, the running jokes are usually based in truth. This has absolutely happened to me on more than one occasion. This has happened to all of us, at least once. The attending will ask you if you saw some physical exam thing or if you heard a heart murmur, insert thing here. And we'll go, oh yeah, I hear it. Lying like a rug. Sometimes I hear the heart murmurs. Not always. Sometimes. Finally, to finish the look, I'm going to go ahead and put on the Maybelline Superstay Vinyl Ink in the shade Cheeky. We'll do one more for good measure. The hardest part of medical school is getting in. I can't tell you how many times I heard this when I was in college. And it was, in fact, a lie. I was convinced that this was true, too. And then I was in my preclinical years, and they were like, it gets better when you get to clinicals. That was also a lie. It did not get better. So the goal now is to just hang in there until it gets better. So that's it for this video, you guys. I hope you had fun with this. I really enjoyed doing it. I hope you found any of that even remotely funny, because I know some of it is kind of hard to find funny if you're not actually a med student, and the joke can sometimes stop being funny when you have to explain it. But I tried to pick ones that would be funny once you had context. So let me know if you had fun, if you want to hear more funny haha stuff about being a med student. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, hit like down below and let me know. If you enjoy me, maybe consider hitting subscribe. I would absolutely love to have you. And until the next one, bye guys.